Greetings. And as you know, Quay is Algonquian. Well, how you doing? So I prepared some seats for you over there to sit down so we could have a nice chit chat. Hopefully we won't get interrupted. You know what I mean? Hopefully. But we got the men in black, okay? But at least they wasn't reclassified black, right? Right. So, I'm overdue for my video discussing, fraud. And the fraud is, how you gonna write a constitution in 1787, right, let's not get mixed up here, and then redefine words come like 1811 circa. How you gonna do that though? That's fraud, y'all. That's fraud. So what that means is when they first wrote the Constitution, they had a different idea of what a person was. They didn't think it was a corporation. Like all of a sudden in 1800s, a person becomes a whole corporation, right? People. People, that one is still a little tricky because I think even in the English dictionaries from like the 1600s, I did get my 1600 dictionary. We just never looked at it yet. But I do think people was still... Oh, yeah. What I'm recalling is people was the common folk, y'all. People was common. So when you hear common, think of nobility, because that's the opposite of common folk. It's nobility, right? So then Britain creates what they call common law for common folk, if you catch my drift. Because, as I always say, we don't want to use their words. We're not common, right? On our land, we are the nobility. Well, when it comes to a foreigner, we are, right? And the whole system is a foreigner, basically. So the government is a person, right? Because a corporation could be a person, right? So which person of the two persons got more rights than the other person, yo? That's what we're talking about here. See, it's nice when you could use their foolishness against them, but our point, as always, is to show our scared little Indians. Now, I ain't making fun of you, but I'm going to call it out like it is. Because, hey, I've been there, and I'm still there. We scared little Indians, right? And I know the brothers say, I ain't scared of nothing. Blah, 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 blah. I can hear the brothers now. I can just hear the brothers now. I know you ain't scared of nothing except the government. Except the government. Well, we're in good company. That's what the government wants us to be. Scared, right? That's what it do. It's terrorism, yo. It's called terrorism, okay? Terrorism. It's called genocide. Genocide of the American Indian. They don't like the color, the skin color of the first American Indians. So they was fixing to change that for something, shall we say, a little more Mongolian, shall we say? That's what they was like. We don't really like you being copper colored. So we're gonna call you black, and then we're going to give you some janky ass laws that ain't part of the Bill of Rights. What they didn't tell us is that they make up whatever rights we have. They're like God, yo. Congress made themselves God, okay? But we about to, tell that false God where to go and how to get there, right? So, if any of you were lucky enough to see Mrs. Calloway's video, the last video she did, you're fortunate. You're fortunate. I think I want to talk a little bit about that. She confirmed what I had concluded. I think it was in the video where I did a video where I was reading the Constitution, and it dawned on me, like as it never did before, that it's basically a contract, and it's a contract for commerce, right? And the Indians of the South, I guess all Indians, but namely the South, because that's where all the crops were. So in that video, I surmised that what we were going to provide was the food and this would have been not commerce because and see, although they're calling it commerce, we learned from Anna that commerce takes place on the high seas. So they were very anxious to pirate us on paper into the high seas by calling inland trade commerce. Because it really should have been looked at as trade. Because we were all on the same landmass. You know, it wasn't the high seas. A river is not the high seas. Okay? So, along with what Mrs. Calloway provided us, which was excellent, we gotta look. What I want to say, I say it all the time, so it's no big surprise. They have, and she mentioned it as well, Mrs. Calloway, they have breached our trust. For Indians who feel like there's no alternative but to deal with this janky ass corporation, I have to say you're delusional. Truly you are. When something has been found fraudulent, it has to be ended. The contract is voided. You have no relationship any longer. This is where Indians are at this moment. What does that mean? Roughly, it means that we have to communicate this to our government. And like we always say, we are peaceful, right? Because we have no reason to be, shall we say, violent, because we have a whole birthright that any fool would know that the first people of the land have rights upon it, right? So, again, we need to communicate to this wretched system. This thing is holding itself up with spit and a prayer, okay? Some slimy, grimy, slithery, snake-ass spit and a prayer to their demon god, Satan, okay? S-E-T, Set. We talk about Set a lot, right? That's an ancient Tamarian deity, okay? That I had no idea how very active this energy is within this system, right? It's chaos. It's a chaos deity. We talked about it. Well, we're not going there right now. So what is it, Indians? We now have Mrs. Calloway, wife of Dane Calloway, showing us that there's been a serious breach of contract. She, in so many words, she told you, this government, they took us out of the contract by reclassifying us. So they can say to themselves and all their, I guess, shareholders, oh, you know what? The Indians are no longer here. I guess we should take their place. I guess we should collect their monies. I guess we should collect what we would be paying them for the use of the land and for the commerce, or well, it should have been called trade, that they were the other half of. So, I think that's where the sharecropping came in, where basically we were taking in Negropeans who would become our replacements. That's what I'm surmising. Don't quote me on that, but Negropeans played a key role in being our replacements. The system knew that they could use them, almost like a versatile, with a lot of versatility, shall we say. They could be African slaves. They could be the Republicans. You know, they just use these Negropeans. And they have a lot of us thinking that we're the Negropeans, you see. But that would be the Moors. The Moors are the world-class Negropeans, okay? They're the world, quote-unquote, renowned, okay? They're the ones that went out in the world. The real Indians stayed home because we didn't get kicked out of our home like the Moors did. So, anyway. The breach, I mean, at this point, it's like if all Indians just made a public service announcement for legal notice that, this government, we are declaring that we no longer have a contract with them. Now, you foreigners, whatever ties you have to them, the smart ones are calling them out for fraud as well. The Glenn Ferns, the Anna Von Wrights. Now, see, the Indians may not agree with these people, but when I tell you that they are solidly grounded in seeing the fraud in the system, where a lot of Indians under the tutelage of Moors are thinking that we just need to become private. No. Private, as we discovered, is just another level of international law. So becoming private it's not the solution, okay? We have to, first of all, we just have to get out of the system. And then it's not done yet because they owe us, right? And, I've been talking to, associate of mine who, we just have a regular conversation about this stuff. And we kind of concluded that, what about that gross national product? Now, think about this. And again, we're peaceful Indians. The United States, which is a corporation, right? They have a gross national product that they put out, right? When did Indians get paid? You're here on our land putting out a gross national product. And we are paying you to live on our land. What's wrong with this picture? Well, what happened to our tribute, yo? And see, if they were even tried to be on the up and up, we could say, well, give us, a percentage. At this point, the damages the penalty for misclassifying us. In their system, there would be penalties, right? Pain and suffering, right? Mental distress, right? Oh my God, we've been there, done that, right? We still doing it, right? But thankfully, the ancestors are here. Now, what I really want to say, yes, we can do this individually, we can do this collectively, but we need to let this government know that, first of all, we are eradicating that term black you use so casually. Because what it is genocide, possible genocide of any American Indian, right, yo? Right? Because as we are extricating ourselves from this oppression, how are we going to allow them to kill Indians under the guise of them being quote unquote black, right? So yeah, Indians, a lot of our people under the tutelage of the Moors, you know, it's like, oh, it's just about your family. It's a little bit more than that. It's a little bit more than that. The whole racism in America, if Indians and friends of Indians haven't figured it out yet, racism in America is American Indian genocide in disguise, okay? That's what it is. So Indians cannot allow for this system to continue to use that misnomer to kill off American Indians. Point blank, period. Again, we had our Mrs. Calloway explaining to us that there's been a breach of a contract here. Indians are effectively, shall we say, what's the word when you get fired? There's another word. Sound a little better than, give you a little more dignity. But it's fired, okay? As far as we're concerned, this government is fired. It has mopped the floor with our American Indian ass. It came here. It took our place. It continues to enrich itself on our backs. We are paying the highest of everything. When I tell you I could go to one of these food stands right now, and I can't promise you that the foreigner that's in that food truck, usually lamb and rice and whatnot, I can't promise you that he has not been advised to charge American Indians more than he charges quote-unquote white people. I've seen it happen, yo. This is the kind of shit that American Indians don't even know is happening, right? It's too bad we can't. No, well, actually, no. I think if we saw it, it would really... It would be good to see it just to know, but it would be shocking to realize how this government has always come for American Indians in every possible way. It's just like being in a contract with your executioner. It's like, what business do I have with you, though? You have a whole agenda I've uncovered. But Indians still want to. We don't have to use this system. Let me just put that out there. Indians, as the owners of this land, you don't have to use this system. And I'm going to be very honest with you. As much as we might not want to hear it, our system was better than their system. And I can't say that having states is something that I know it's not something that we've done. It's something the Moors did overseas. They did states, and then they brought that shit over here and having Indians thinking that we created it. Again, if we created it, we would have honored our territorial lines. I don't know. Do Indians realize that? I hope I'm not talking to a brick wall like the one we're looking at. You can't tell me we designed this system and just went willy-nilly on our territorial lines. That would have been, if Indians did that, it would have been certain unrest on the land because, again, you get a state like North Carolina. Coastal North Carolina is pretty much Algonquian. Well, the East Coast is mostly Algonquian from like Canada down, not including Florida, right? And I'm not sure Georgia's in that either. But Algonquian on most linguistic maps, it goes as far as North Carolina, and then you have a lot of maps that don't want to include North Carolina. Like they want to say it's just Virginia. No, it's not. It goes into North Carolina, okay? And it goes as far as the Pascatonk River because those were the Indians that I would have come from, that I did come from. So it really pisses me off personally. I'm constantly pissed off with the Algonquian conversation that's not happening. I'm constantly. Because as Dane mentioned in his recent video, Chief Powhatan was no joke. He was not. And he, as far as I'm concerned, he is my North Star in all of this. So what am I saying is our system as basic as it was, it really was cut and dry. This was your territory. This was my territory. And as large as the Algonquins were, I can't see that the Iroquois would have been able to take over Algonquin without the help of Britain and their weapons, you see? And we read that Algonquins were being denied the weaponry they needed. France was in on it, is all I can say, because France seems to have conceded. I think the French realized, wait a minute, we might want to get, not have to deal with Algonquins either. It is the coastline, and France is in Europe, and if they're a non-issue, we don't have to really deal with them. Imagine that perhaps they had to deal with Powhatan when they entered those shores, right? I imagine that the Iroquois would have gave them a better deal, an incentive to not want to work with the Algonquins, right? We'll, forget that. We'll give you a better deal. Just, don't give them that many weapons. The French wouldn't give us any weapons unless you had to be a Christian. So therefore, what does that say? That says that there wasn't many Algonquins who were Christians, right? Because the more Christian you were, the more weapons you got from the French. That's what I read. So, again, there you go, Algonquins being true to the Indian cause. Indians ain't supposed to be Christians, and a lot of people don't want to hear that. It's the religion that made you like the chief sinner instead of chief of your tribe. You became the chief sinner, okay? And this is what you take up when you take on Christianity, okay? You are the sinner, Indian. You're more sinner than anybody because it was Christianity that caused there to be a doctrine of discovery. And the crazy thing about that, as I always say, is even after you become Christians, you're still not giving back your land. So being Christian never got you back. It never restored you. What it did was gave you a room in the mansion of Jesus. That's what it did. So this is a lunchtime video. We're almost at the half-hour mark, and I think we'll try to keep it there. What is the message today? Well, my constituents and we're working on a document that, it's a declaration, basically like a declaration of the independence of Indians, because we're in our own land. We should have never been dependent to begin with. So Indians have to, I think, start to realize you don't have to depend on this government the way you do. It is not for you. Whatever it gives you has the effect of pulling you into its jurisdiction, which is a commerce jurisdiction. Indians don't need to be in a commerce jurisdiction when they have a whole land under their feet. You can go by law of the land, and it's our birthright to do so. When they declared the doctrine of discovery, they took that birthright away from us and gave it to everybody, like as if we're the most sinful of all these people that they pile up on our land. Meanwhile, they coming from lands that are apparently don't have opportunity. So who's the real cursed MFer in this house? It really pisses me off, y'all. As it should. As it should. I'm so tired of Indians. I'm so just done with Indians trying to work this system. This system cut through your territorial lines. It was meant to make you submit. It didn't honor your territorial lines. And that's the least that this system could have done, was say, you know what? We'll just work with them separately. We'll deal with the Iroquois as they will let us do anything we want. But when it comes to these Indians, we're just going to have to do the right thing. But they didn't want to do that. They just took these states, did not care that it crossed Indian lines. And that's what Indians have to resurrect. When the question comes, what land are you standing on? We're going to have to say that, well, I was Algonquian, I was whatever, Cherokee, whatever what you were renamed by your daddy. Whatever land you had, that's what you're going back to, y'all. I think the traitor Indians are hoping that we don't go by those territories anymore. It's like we could all just be Indians together. No, not yet, because we were not friends, and as a result of that, this is what we get. This corporation just sat its fat black ass down on our land, and we never resolved our issues. But I think I would hope that by now Iroquois realized that the whole thing was just a matter of time before it would come to a crashing end. I mean, you got generations to live like the black elite, the 5 civilized tribes, and the Iroquois, and to the degree that the Lenni Lenape are involved, they become like our Jesse Jacksons and shit, and our Maxine Waters and stuff, and our Al Sharptons and stuff. They have no interest in calling themselves the Indians that they are. But who knows? They mixed. I guess they mixed in and they going with their daddy. But anyway, we have to start to see the system as the vehicle to dispense our what we roughly call reparations. We're not in a contract with you anymore, but you do owe us. So as long as you're here, your new job is to facilitate the credit that we are due. And now your gross national product is what? The last time I checked, it was like it's about 26 trillion. That's what I saw for 2022. Now, I think my constituent has mentioned that it's a little more than that, like maybe 46 trillion, right? Indians, that's been being made off of your land, right? So, what does that mean? We don't take anything from them, right? We don't want their money because they can control the money. As we said, money can be controlled by inflation and deflation. The Federal Reserve they like the puppet masters of that dollar, yo. It's like it's on a fucking fishing rod, and you chasing that crap, and they reeling you in and put you over there. You just chasing that mighty dollar, right? But that is owned by the Federal Reserve. In fact, their business is printing out money, and they expect to get paid with that same money, actually. So what does that mean? That means we can never pay them back, because every time we use one of their dollars, we owe them however much they say we owe them. Well, we're going to make the rate now 50%. So now you owe them $1.50. And then when that's 90%. So now you owe them what, $1.90? So every dollar you use has a charge. It has a price. So that's why we gotta unassociate ourselves with their money. As a sovereign, you can demand how you want to get paid, and I suggest that we get paid for now. We get paid in endless credit. Yes, you heard me correctly, Indians. Come on now. Endless credit, which means we don't pay for anything. You got a gross national product of what? 20 to 40 trillion dollars. Why should I pay? This is the money you made off of my land, right? You owe me. I never got my rent. You cut me out of the deal of the commerce agreement we had. And this is what I want to say about that. We're going a little over our half hour. Indian, note for next time, separate contracts. The way I see it, we should have had the Constitution should not have been our contract. We should have had a completely separate contract from anything that foreigners were involved in, because it had the effect of pulling us in, and it did. Now, something like if we ever contract with any ratchet ass monarchs again, first of all, we'll do the writing, okay? We'll do the writing of the contract. Because apparently we got something you want, and it's not the other way around. You've been coming for us, right? You've been coming for us for like over 500 years, right? Because you know something about my land that you've kept from me, right? Okay. It should not have been one constitution fits all, or one contract for all. We were in a different position than them foreigners. We had the land. How dare we be in the same contract with them? What the hell do they have that on us? Nothing. So the contract should have been a two-way contract between us and their representatives in their Congress or their whatever, representing the immigrants, and so the contract should have been separate. There should have been at least, I would say, 2 to 3 different contracts. One contract for state to tribe trade, right? Because Indians never lived in states we shouldn't, and that's why we have to resurrect. I'm sorry, Indians, those linguistic lines is all we have for now. And until we fix our problems and show up, Iroquois, show your real face, Iroquois, you have to face us face to face. And we would have to work out our differences. But as you are basically a foreigner now, I don't, you might want to side with the foreigner and just, have them on your part of the land and do business with them separately from us. We'll have a separate contract. Once again, the foreigner will have one contract with the Iroquois and the 5 civilized tribes and a different contract with uncivilized Indians, and you will give us our land back. Okay? All that good land that you saw, and you saw how good it was for growing shit and all of that, yeah, that's mine. That belongs to mostly Algonquins that were taken off of their land. I'm not saying it was, all, but as far as I know, Algonquins were the only Indians that are politically erased from North America and put in Canada. So, again, it should have been a separate contract, y'all. A food, because the commerce a trade we were doing was for food, right? They just fucked us over so bad, yo. We thought we was gonna actually, thrive because we had the goods. We had what they wanted. We always did. They still want our shit. And right now they are just using it. But anyway, note for next time, but hopefully there won't even be a next time. Separate contracts. I feel like in as much as we had a monarchy, there should have been a separate contract between us and that monarchy, which we'll never do again, because you showed how much trust we can have in you, which is zilch. And so there would have been a contract between the Indians and the monarchs, and then there'd be another contract between the monarchs and the immigrants, right? We were not the same. We should never have been in a contract that involved foreigners like that. No. But again, the foreigners didn't even know that Britain intended to basically turn them back into slaves by calling them United States citizens, right? So yeah, but it was just a note that when I look at it, we should have never been part of this unless we kept our territories. In other words, they would have called their little part Virginia, but we would have called it Algonquian ancestral land, in my case. So, it got too much in their favor when we decided that we're going to work inside their states. They took jurisdiction right then and there with, creating of these states, and then us sort of like lost sheep standing on our land while they just built a state on our land. So that was the thing. Every Indian should have been considered as if they're still on their ancestral land, and that was not the case. It couldn't have been. So that's just a note about how it should have went. As far as I can tell, as being more in my Indian frame of mind, you never not mention that this is Indian territory. That was our first mistake. Saying, okay, you could do a state, and I'll just act like I was never here, and now I'm in North Carolina and Virginia. No, I was always on my ancestral land. The fraud, the way they went about this, and I'll say this and I'll try to close. We were like in a war that we didn't even know we were in. We thought we were just dealing with a colonizer and that we finally came to some kind of agreement. But in hindsight, they had a way of mixing us in as if we were the foreign Negroes that came here. So when they referred to their foreign Negroes, a lot of us Indians think that was us, when it really wasn't. So they had already been genociding us in that way by never really referring to us as Indians, but always referring to blacks and Africa, or later on they refer to African Americans, colored. We should have saw the red flags. You know what I'm saying? We allow them to strip us of everything, and we had to be black in order to be in a state. That should have never happened. So it was a whole war situation, but it was in the guise that it was, oh, the colonizer is trying to work with you now. No, he was never working. He was always working against me. Always. And so now we see where it led to. It just led to us being at the bottom of their barrel, yo. We had no name. We had no identity. Our land was renamed. We were renamed. Somebody in the Iroquois Confederacy should have said, wait, this is not how this was supposed to go. But you know what? It went exactly how the Iroquois Confederacy intended it to go. Trust. That's why this system, it's not tight enough. We can't resurrect it because it's loose. It's too loose. A fraud will come in like rats getting in the basement. It's just, there's too many holes. You're mixing apples and oranges. We should have been clearly identified, much more identified. You know? And when I'm of the mind that when they say Indians in the Constitution, they're only talking about the Iroquois. But once again, a grab. Everything they do is a grab. So it's like, are the Iroquois collecting all of this secretly? Are they collecting all the money that goes to all the other, should have went to all other Indians? Because that's how they were rolling. That was how they were, that's the position they had, yo. They were representing the Indians, but really they were the only ones who are being recognized secretly, I believe, by this government. I think they're recognized secretly. And they both agree that you got to call us black, but you know who we really are. Right? So this is, we're just peaceful Indians. We ain't trying to, we're not violent. We're like, just like Martin Luther King was, right? Or what they say, Mahatma Gandhi, right? We're peaceful Indians. We just want our shit back. That's what we want. And we want you to facilitate the line of credit that's going to suddenly open up to us. Yeah. Everything I could possibly pay for is now free of charge. Everything. You want to build a house? Well, there's going to be one of these companies are going to get paid by this corporation while they're here. They're going to be financing everything. Yeah. I mean, look, if you would have stayed on your land, you could be like us Indians, demanding to get paid. But I guess you didn't have resources. That's not our problem. You can't come to my land, say that I'm a sinner, and then get all my payments and don't give me nothing? And then call it welfare and food stamps? Do you know how much some Indians are getting in food stamps these days? Anybody know? Because a dear friend of mine, she's getting $6 a month. She's an American Indian. She's a Miccosukee Indian from Florida. I told her to ask her family, and that's what they told me. Miccosukee. This Miccosukee Indian is now in Georgia, being harassed, pretty much, because, I don't know, the place she's renting from, it's just, the woman pays her rent, but they say, if it's late, then we're going to take you to court. Now, it just doesn't make sense. You got a late fee, she's paying it, and you still threaten her with, you're going to evict her. How? She's paying the late fee. Take the late fee and shut the fuck up. That's what you should be doing, but no, they want to harass somebody, And yeah, she gets $6. This fucking corporation knows that she's an Indian. They want to pay these foreigners $1,400 a month, and she's been reduced to $6 a month. What is that, a joke? Well, see, let me explain something. You don't want to get anything in their system. You got to get out of their system so you can get what's really due you. I hope Indians understand what I mean. Because when you do it in their system, they're going to nickel and dime you and make sure you get the least. You can't, even as an Indian, if you're insisting on working in their system and having them as your federal daddy, like a federally recognized or a civilized tribe, they get to call the shots. And this is what Indians seem to not understand. If you stand in your birthright, you demand what is yours. Okay? They don't get to decide. Because by being in a system, you've given them the upper hand, right? That's what we've been doing all these years, if anyone hasn't noticed. So, that's our little word for today. I think we're going to close because this is supposed to be a half hour and now it's 45 minutes, right? So yeah, this is our lunchtime chit chat. Pardon if my camera was all over the place. I wasn't even looking at the camera, so I don't know what y'all saw. Probably my notepad and stuff. But thank you for watching. Till next time, be and stay a highly favored American Indian. All right now.